Hi, friends and colleagues around the world. GWFM brings another exciting leadership interview series. GWFM is a professional chartered body surrounded with like minded, passionate WFM professionals across the world. GWFM leads by purpose of people diversity across the world. We have been touching WFM professionals' heart and soul. In fact, helping out the market trends and help solving the industry problems by sharing industry trends, insights, stories, best practices, and best tool showcase. In fact, GWFM predominantly introduced the WFM innovation hackathons, quiz, BWFM reality shows in the first time at the global market. Today, we have very dynamic WFM leader from UK, Gary Potocki. Gary is a vice president of workforce management under MI for Teleperformance, where he leads the team of 10K colleagues across the UK and South Africa. Gary has more than 2 decades of experience in contact centers covering WFM across multiple contact channels and fields. Gary has played a key role in driving the business to see importance of the WFM and MI team while developing processes and an engagement models that helps the business meet their target while keeping both the internal and external customers engagement. Gary thrives on the constant evolution of ever-changing demands of WFM and MI teams and opportunity. This gives him not only continue to develop himself, but support his team and others in learning and developing their careers in workforce management and MI profession. With this, we welcome Gary to the WFM interviews series. I'm sure you're going to have a great takeaway from Gary with his experience and the kind of insights that he's going to share is going to be phenomenal. Welcome, Gary.
Hi, happy to be here and nice to meet you all.
How are you doing today?
Yeah, really good. Thank you. The sun is shining in the UK, which is a rare event. So enjoying that while you last day.
Thank you so much for taking your time out. I know that how busy you are, and WFM leaders and folks are needed every time and all the time and everywhere in the organization. Understand?
Yeah.
Really, thank you for taking your time out to share your knowledge and experiences with WFM folks here. They're all eager to know and learn from you.
Well, hopefully I'll be able to give them some takeaways and some insights what I do and how I look at WFM. So looking forward to it.
Great. While we look at your rich experience, I'm curious to know why and what made you to take up WFM career. If you could share some insights about what made you to take up WFM career.
Yeah, I am like a lot of people started on the as an agent on the front line of a call center many years ago when I was 20 years old, and I enjoyed the job. I really liked it, but I was really interested in what career I could do outside being a team leader. Just didn't interest me. I didn't want to be a team leader. It never something that interested me. So I got invited to do a short-term role on the real-time team, where a lot of people start from our profession. And it just clicked instantly. I loved the speed of it. The days flew by. I love the fact that you were dealing with fresh challenges every day, problem solving, which is a big thing for me. But the interactions with different people, whether it be agents on the front line, team leaders, senior management, customers, different departments, it just made it a really thrilling experience, and just the speed of it really. But at the time when I went into real time, which was over 20 years ago now, it was at the point where we really started to see some changes in the technology that was coming into the industries, whether it be call routing technologies or the WFM systems and the WFO systems that were around. And it was really exciting to get involved in into that techie, geeky element that I have about me. I like working with the technical stuff, and it just clicked, and I really enjoyed it. And then I started expanding my knowledge. I wanted to rather be on the other end of the problem, which was seeing call queues and bad service levels. I wanted to be the person that planned good service levels and would plan a really good environment for our people. So I started working through the ranks and looking at scheduling and how we could get better at that. And then obviously that led me into a forecasting department. And the forecasting bit was a real bit that really grabbed me. It was the bit of the interest about why our customers did what they did and looking at all the different information we had available. And again, as the years went by, that information became more enriched. There was more of it, more detail because of technology enhancement. So it just clicked from the moment I was an RTA, and then development and the interest. And I got the bug for it. And then eventually I just progressed through the ranks as you naturally do. If that's what you want to do, I wouldn't just progress through the ranks. And I started really enjoying the fact that we never stand still in WFM. We're always evolving. And that's one thing that I always try to say. You've got to evolve with the times. And then that our evolution is dictated to by the technology available, the people's requirements on the front end, but also the customers that we're planning for. So it's just an interesting environment. It never stops. And it's something I've enjoyed fully over the last 20 years.
Absolutely. I see that like you are a passionate WFM professional, and what's your passion towards WFM? Why? I mean, you shared it. In fact, I want to know like how passionate you are in WFM, and I see that a lot of professionals like they like it or they don't like it. They can enjoy it if they have the passion towards WFM. Want to hear what's your passion towards WFM?
I believe that every successful business in our industry has a strong WFM team. I think we're the backbone of the industry. And I think sometimes we can go underappreciated by that. My passion is about making sure that actually WFM is a lot more than just numbers on a spreadsheet or an agent schedule in a WFM system. It's about planning to be successful going forward as a business and working and bringing the business together so that they understand that there is a customer requirement, there's a agent requirement, there's a business requirement, and how you bring all them together, how you bring all them relationships together, and then how you plan for success in the most efficient way is just something that I really enjoy. I think the passion for WFM comes about the drive to be successful and provide the best experience. And I think over the years, success used to be measured against numbers. And I think now a lot more of us are looking around, yes, numbers are important, but what's the experience like for our people? What's the experience like for our customer? Right. And I think the passion for us is just how the evolution of it and keeping something fresh and keep moving. Sure. It just makes you really passionate about what you do. I think the WFM kind of industry at the moment is becoming to the forefront of what we do because of what's happened over the last few years, if I'm being honest. I think it's changed people's opinion about what we offer. And my passion has never been stronger about it. I think our sector of an organization is only going to grow from strength to strength and really add value over the next few years.
Absolutely. In fact, passionate WFM professional can go very far and like grow like you. Yeah. Right? And without passion, nothing comes, right? So it's not like just taking up for the sake of taking. This is something that when we have passion, definitely like love. I mean, I really love that the kind of passion that you have shared, Gary. Great.
Yeah, I love it. Honestly, it's a great area to work in.
You're a truly passionate WFM professional. Great insights. Okay, so moving on. Very curious to know that you have spent more than 2 decades of experience in WFM, and how do you start your day? What's a priority for you? What do you think that you should, or WFM folks should do differently?
We've got a really busy. We're a really busy team, right? And I'm sure a lot of our colleagues around the industry are as well. I think it's really important in the morning that you don't get lost straight away in the busyness of your day. So I take time in the first bit of my morning before I even start. I spend time. I have breakfast with my kids to get that enjoyment and the energy that they give me in the morning, because they are, young children who are looking forward to their day, and it just gives me a load of energy, which is great. And then I sit down and start to review while I'm having my, the usual cup of coffee that I'm sure a lot of people have, to think about the priorities that I've got to hit. What are the main things I have to achieve today? And that priority list will be no more than 3 things. So what are the main 3 things I've got to deliver? Who do I need to work with to deliver them? And what are the priorities in terms of their individual. So if I've got a team member that I need help with, what do I need to do to make sure they've got the availability to hit that priority? But I think that the most important thing is, after deciding what your priorities are, is also deciding the people that you're going to connect with throughout the day that aren't related to your priorities, but which one of your team members are you going to speak to? How are you going to connect with them? How are you going to take that 5 to 10 minutes out of the day to check on people? And in this day and age where we've moved to a very remote working environment, and you know, I've been at Teleperformance for 2 years, and I've only ever met 2 people I work with because of the lockdown situation. I'm hoping I'll meet a lot more now going forward, the restrictions of these, but it's been really important to make sure that you take the time in the day and plan some time where I'm going to spend 15 minutes, I'm going to bring one of my team members or a colleague and just, you know, have a chat, try to replicate that conversation you'd have at the coffee machine or, you know, with one of your colleagues. And I think it's really important that you set your priorities, what the 3 main objectives you've got to achieve of the day, but don't forget to also plan some time just to have a chat with some of your team. And don't get lost in it straight away. The worst thing you can do is walk into your office, log on your email, and before you know it, it's midday, you've lost the day. So I won't do anything without setting my priorities for the day first.
That's amazing way to start a day. A lot of us, you know, always think of what happened in the last night or what happened yesterday, and always, you know, have that, and then they're not really happy every time that they think of problems, and always have that in their mind. Like the way you suggested that, you know, how we can really start a day is something very encouraging, and I really moved by what you mentioned. Very amazing way to start a day, and then this gives a great learning for the WFM folks. Wonderful. Moving on, according to you, what are a few must-do good habits and to develop WFM professionals to grow in their career?
I always think that one of the most important things I've always been able to do, even 20 years on, and no matter what level I've worked at in a WFM team or in an organization, it's really important to remember that there's a person at the other end of a number. So we all sit down, we can all do great analytics, we can create the best Excel spreadsheet in the world with the, you know, nicest formulas there are. And we can produce a great schedule, the most efficient schedule. But I remember what it was like when I was an agent on the front line. And I think it's really important that you remember that, what it was like when you're the end user, whether that be the client, the customer, or the agent or team leader, is never, don't lose that connection. Always put yourself back in a place where you don't become that disconnected from the operation that you're supporting. You've got to be part of it. So it's, you've got to have that balance of technical versus common sense versus practicality of delivery. And I think the relationships you have with your internal customers are the most important thing you can do. So it's a really good habit of maintaining them relationships, you know, not just with the leadership teams, but with the agents themselves, and going around and speaking to them wherever you possibly can, or reaching out through surveys, however you want to do it. But it's really important that you keep that connection going, because they're the best database we will ever have. They're the people that will tell us what's really happening in our organization, what's really happening with the customers, and they bring the numbers to life. And I think it's really important you don't forget that there's a person behind a number. True. And that you need to be making sure that you value that relationship more than you do anything else.
I mean, these are basic habits that one should really learn, adopt, and keep going. These are all, you know, fundamentals, and also very important to inculcate these habits to make a great career in WFM. Absolutely.
Yeah, I just think that I've seen many people, and some people who even work for me, who they'll walk in a room and they'll present you a brilliant model and a brilliant business case. But the one question I'll ask is, so what does that mean for the experience? What does that mean for the person? And if you can't bring that to life, you're not bringing to life the business plan. The business plan is just a number. It's not a practicality of how it's going to deliver or land. So it's just really important that you keep that balance. And I think in this day and age where, you know, a lot of things are changing around expectations for people, it's more important than it's ever been.
Great. Moving on, could you throw some light on the trends which we have witnessed in the last year?
Yeah, I think obviously with the COVID pandemic that we've experienced over the last couple of years, I think the one thing that was really apparent last year as the restrictions eased and then increased and eased again is our people, the people that work for us, their expectations are very different. So their expectation of their work-life balance is very different. Their expectation of how they interact with us as a WFM team, but also how they interact with their team leader, how they consume information is really different. So the trend has been very much around how do we move away from some of the traditional offerings that we have, and how do we create a better work-life balance, but also are we easy to do business with? So is it effortless? Am I able to quickly check my schedules, book a holiday, request a shift swap? Is there ability for me to decide if I work in the office at home, if I work longer shifts, shorter shifts? Actually, I want to work less hours this week and more next. All of that was something that was happening before, but in very small pockets. COVID has just massively accelerated that and said, where our expectation is, we want that. I want that now. I want to be the person. I want to be able to say, I want to work 2 hours in the morning and 5 hours in the afternoon, or however what schedule is, because actually I've got a life, and actually work is to enable a life, not the other way around. So I think the expectation that I've seen throughout 2021 has been very much a employee-led market. Their expectations when they're joining an organization is around not just salary, because let's be honest, salary is important for people, but actually about the flexibility. And a lot of people that come to us are talking to us about the flexibility rather than salary at the beginning. And it's been a massive change. And I think that trend has remained strong in 2022. And I think as restrictions have now eased in all across most of the globe, to be honest, I think it's been really interesting to see how that progresses and how people then change, and whether we ever will get back to that old traditional, I'm in the office 5 days a week. But I'm not seeing that right now. When I speak to the guys on the front line at the moment, they're saying to me, we want to be able to have that flexibility. You know, we want to be able to pick and choose, or if we do come in the office, we want to be able to have a better flexibility about the hours that we've got available to us, because I want to do X, Y, and Z. So I think there's definitely the trend of, it's about flexibility, it's about an easy to do business with, are the two things that was massive last year.
Absolutely. In fact, there's been a big learning lesson. There's been really given a great learning for the organizations and employees, also to the customers worldwide. We all worldwide face the same challenges and problems.
Yeah,
right.
And I think we've got to look at it. Whilst it was not a great experience for us all during the pandemic, the one from a WFM perspective, we should grasp as an opportunity is, actually, you know, it's brought to the forefront what we were working on in the background, which is about flexibility. It should allow us, with people working from home, to be able to produce even better schedules and flexibility for people, but also our clients, and become a more efficient organization. Now, do I think we've cracked that as a unit across the globe? No, I don't. I think we're still learning, because we're still playing catch up. And I think that now we're getting a bit more stability with the COVID restrictions being eased. I think we'll really see us as a business unit add real value to our stakeholders and customers and employees through it. I think the key bit for me is, hopefully some of our providers of technology will play catch up as well, because I think that's the other thing that's happened, is we're having to do things that we're not designed to do because of the way that the technology has been built on a traditional platform. Let's speed that up, and that's a big thing that I'm expecting over the next 18 months from some of the big WFO providers. I think we'll see some really different add-ons coming out that will really enable us to do some really good funky stuff. Yeah.
Great. Moving on, Gary. What are some of the new trends which you are witnessing in 2022, and also like moving on, you know, for entire this year, and maybe, you know, like by 2023, what are the trends that, you know, you foresee?
Yeah. So I think, you know, again, how we will work and the ways of working going forward will remain for the next couple of years in terms of that flexibility. I think the next trend that we're seeing is a lot of people and organizations have had to speed up their digital deployments.
True.
So they've had to speed up their digital offerings, whether that be a chat, emails, etc., because they've had to react to the market. And I think that what I'm seeing this year is a very different approach to that. And I think the trend that we'll see this year is that I think we'll see the biggest shift we've ever seen from a planning perspective in the way that we look at our digital channel planning.
Absolutely.
And how we move. You know, we've got people traditionally always revert back to the old airline models, and they're great. Let's be honest, it's what our function's built upon. But in a digital world, it's very different. And I think that we'll see an evolution of that over the next 6 to 12 months, because with the trend that I'm seeing already is a lot of businesses are looking at it from a basic, I'm going to try to plan you the same way I would plan you an inbound call volume, for example, and it's just not the same. And I think that the trend for me is, as organizations have now seen the real benefit of some of the quick fixes they've done in the digital world because of COVID, as they start to get more strategic about their digital initiatives, we'll start to see a real shift in our area about how we plan them going forward.
Right.
And I think I'm really excited about it, because I think it's the biggest area of improvement.
True.
And I think it'll be the biggest shift we've seen in a couple of years in our area.
Absolutely. Also, moving on, the other thing that what we have witnessed and witnessing in the beginning of the year, like great resignations. You have any views on that? Like, I know that everyone is really facing problem, around the world, everywhere. The salary levels have increased, and too much of attrition, and backfilling itself is really taking time. And on top of that, the business is growing. We got to really have new demands to fulfill. And we're totally pulled into every discussions and everything happening in the organization. If you could throw some light on great resignations.
Just repeat that one last bit for me again, sorry.
I was asking that the great resignation.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry. So the employee market over the last 18 months has been unbelievable. And with the working from home solution being put in place by a lot of organizations, we've actually employment has become more accessible for a lot of people that wouldn't have been able to do it before because of their challenges of where they live, home environment, or other commitments. I actually start to see that slow down. I'm starting to see the great resignation slow down a little bit. I think the salaries, you're absolutely right, salary and competition has been unbelievable. Sure. Over the last 18 months. And, people literally moving for a very small increase, whereas before they would have stayed. I think the other key bit is you've got a whole new generation that have got, again, a very different expectation about what they get from a workplace. And because we haven't had that physical interaction, that office-based interaction with people, I think it's made it a real challenge over the last 18 months in terms of the great resignation. But I think as things start to stabilize and we start to work better with our digital ways of working and that connection factor, and as the salaries start to stabilize, because they will stabilize again, we can't just keep on going up. I think what will happen is you'll start to see people settle, and things like flexibility, things like additional offerings that a business offer you outside your salary will become more and more important to people. And I think that's where, as a WFM leader, and I'm sure a lot of our colleagues will be doing this as well, we're looking at what we can do to make our offering the most attractive in the marketplace, because actually it's the most useful tool. And I think the great resignation will slow down, and actually I think you will be able to, in our area, be able to offer a lot more than we've done before because of this flexible working that we're working on and how we can get that work-life balance supported. So hopefully it will slow down. It's been a challenge, let's be honest. I think everybody suffered from it, but I think I've definitely noticed over the first half of this year, it's starting to slow down and starting to improve. And some of the stuff we've done has helped that. But I also think the external marketplace has stabilized a little bit as well.
Absolutely. I think, yes, now it's stabilized and kind of stabilizing all over the world.
Yeah.
So, like salaries have increased and organizations are getting stabilized with the moments and retaining the talent with engagements, and also like with the increments that they're offering. So truly getting stabilized. I hope that in next few months it will settle down. Maybe in this quarter two, we'll have a good stabilization with the organization, and I'm sure that this will definitely help organizations to accelerate to the next level.
Yeah, I agree.
The retained talent.
Yes, I completely agree.
Great. But moving on, Gary, what do you think that organizations should do differently in 2022? Also, you could suggest some of the elements required in next year too.
Yeah, I think the biggest change we will need to see is a cultural change in the way that we engage and manage our people. So, I think again, over the last 2 years, it's been a bit of a journey, and we've done things to make it work because we've had to work at speed. So we've had to move people home quickly. We've had to move them back to the office quickly. We've had to employ people quickly. We've had a turnover of resource that we've had to go into it. And I think the way that we lead our people needs to change. I think we've got to realize that today's employee isn't the employee of 20 years ago. The performance management isn't the same as what it used to be. And I think as an organization, we need to be really looking at ourselves to say, how do we invest in our people? So one, we retain them, to your point a minute ago. But secondly, how do we get the best out of them in a very different environment? And I think whilst, you know, a lot of organizations have invested in their digital platforms, a lot of organizations have invested in their working from home platforms, I probably think the next step is about how you then have the right management and people management structure to support them platforms. Because it's a very different skill, very different outlook. And I think that for me is one of the big, I'm really passionate about it because I believe it actually opens doors for us again. And again, that flexibility, you know, the old traditional, I've got to have one team leader to 15 people and I've got to speak to my team leader every month for 1 hour a month. Is that really what's needed these days with the new generation of people coming through? Do they really need that? The style of coaching, all these great tools, we've got digital tools available. I just think we need to refresh ourselves. And I think that's where, if we're going to really drive forward as an organization, a place to go, coming to work is an experience. And I think that's what we've got to look at, is how we make that experience the best possible experience. And it all stems with the way that we engage and manage our people. And I think that needs a total refresh based upon what's happened over the last few years.
Absolutely. I supplement whatever you mentioned. In fact, organizations should do differently with these things to attract, retain, engage, and improve the productivity and efficiency. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Great. Good, Gary. Moving on, what are the top 5 priorities that you suggest for 2022 and maybe, like next year too?
Yeah, I think we've touched on a few of them before, but I think, you know, staying connected to people is a huge one for us. How we create the engagement forum for our internal stakeholders is huge, and how that's evolved. I think that's definitely one as a priority we need to look at. How often we speak to people. We obviously do a huge amount of investment within the team at the moment about how we manage them relationships, but how that keeps evolving and keeps it fresh, so that we retaining more information and better insight from the people that matter. I think people development, so our team, my own team's development, but our functions development is really important. Like you said, retaining talent is really important right now, because the market is, especially in the WFM area in the UK, is really competitive. So, you know, how we keep them switched on through their development and the progression is a huge piece for us, and we've done a lot of work on that this year, and it will continue into next. But I also think from a development point of view, it'll be about how we see our sector evolve. We'll structure some of that development and open their eyes to a different way of working. So, you know, looking at external groups like yourself and other areas we can work with, and sharing that knowledge is really important, because I think, you know, as we first contacted each other about the Global WFM Forum, right, it's important that we rely on colleagues to learn best practices and share that knowledge. And I think people development is a really strong area, and I'm encouraging people more and more to get out there and look at all these different media platforms and different articles coming out, different chats and interviews that you've done yourself, and just learn. And I think that's really important for me as a priority. Gamification and making it interesting for our colleagues is huge.
Right.
Gamification is something that's been around for a while, but is it really worked? I don't know. Can we make it better? You know, there's not a day goes by that I'm not using my mobile phone to do something in my life. And actually, if we've got a device and we've got that unit in, how do we really use it to make it important for people and really drive that efficiency and their flexibility? Flexibility is the next one. How do I make the offering as flexible possible for our people? What are the creative ways we can look at it? How do we engage people in it? But also, how do we make sure that we understand the impact on the customers at the end of the conversation? Right. And actually, how can we drive that customer demand through our flexible schedules and technology to be able to do that? And then definitely technology. I think technology is a huge one over the next 18 months. How will our workforce management systems develop to incorporate the working from home environment? Is there a need for it? If there is, what will it look like? How will they incorporate more flexible working? How will they start to look at things and improve their forecasting models for digital platforms? You know, all of that kind of stuff. I think technology is a massive one for me. I've been with a lot of vendors over the last 6 months who are trying to sell us a lot of things. And my question is, how can I be involved in your future development plans? Talk to me about what the next 12 months looks like. I get what you're selling now, but what am I going to get in the next 12 months to make sure that we continue on that journey? Because you've got to constantly evolve. You've got to constantly be the people that are trying to lead the market, but you've also got to evolve for your business and be the people that can drive change in your business. And it's really important. I think technology stems a lot of what we do. So I think my priority is getting out there and try and be involved in some of the future progression of our technology would be where I'd like to try to get to.
Absolutely. In fact, there has been an evolution and great transformation.
Yes.
Absolutely. Great, Gary. Moving on, what is the message that you have for the WFM industry? I know the WFM industry is really evolving in terms of technology and the strategy, mindset, and skill set, and also the way we look at workplace and also workforce. Right. So considering all that, like I know there's a lot of change worldwide. And what is the message that you have for the WFM industry?
Yeah, as I said earlier, I really do believe that WFM is the backbone of any strong organization. We should be involved at the start of the process to the end of the process in a lot of ways in terms of the touch points. I think the key bit for me is because of that responsibility we have and accountability we have in the organization, we also have a real opportunity in driving change and driving businesses that we work for to do the right thing for our customers, clients, and stakeholders, right? And I think that by projecting the numbers, by bringing them to life with the experience, the real opportunity is for us to drive change and keep that evolution going. And I think if there was one thing that I would love the Irish to do is kind of what we're doing here, which is trying to make people appreciate WFM for the the benefits that we add as a business. But I think as a unit across all of the businesses we work for, we have that great opportunity and responsibility to be driving people to say, this is how the world's changing, this is how it's evolving, this is what our numbers are telling us, but also this is what our people are telling us, and bring that story to life in a way that means that we evolve that gives everybody a great experience. And I think the next step is keep going. It's a little bit long journey over the next 18 months, but it's going to be an exciting one. And I think we have a great responsibility in driving some of that agenda.
Absolutely. The industry would continue to evolve, and WFM industry is becoming vast, and everyone is getting into it. And our team size in the organization is really growing. And technologies, cloud, AI, right, robotics, all are coming in. And considering that, don't know, next 5 years that how WFM industry is going to change, or maybe how maybe we'll have our rules change, or maybe JD changing, and team size is going to be smaller or going to be bigger. It's something that is really very interesting to know. And great. Moving on, if you could share some insights about your diversity initiatives and inclusion for this year. So this is the topic which is very favorite topic. Recently, we did a couple of events gathering top women leaders in WFM, and some of the CXOs. In fact, there's been a lot of discussion around that. If you could share some insights.
Yeah, I suppose we've got a great program in terms of diversity, and my biggest piece is I think that the piece about it is giving people the room to grow, right? So we've got an initiative where everybody gets the opportunity to take some time to themselves, where they do their own self-development and learning. We enable them to access to the groups across the globe, because obviously I work for a global organization, which is a huge benefit for us in this diversity unit. And one of the key things for us is to look at the next generation of leaders and make sure that everybody has the ample opportunity to develop, no matter what background they come from, no matter what challenges they have at home or dependencies they've got in that place. It's really important that we have the ability to be able to give them a platform to grow on. So it's about individual learning plans, and what we've done is really invest in that individual learning and stay away from, it's great, digital learning is great, but digital learning's done for the masses. So actually what we do now is do digital learning that's catered to an individual, the time and effort they can give, what the career paths to go into, but also not isolate, because WFM is a great career for anybody, right? And WFM can be carved up in many different ways in terms of a team structure that give people different opportunities to learn and different opportunities to grow. So we're actually creating different career paths for people depending on their, needs and requirements and space they've got available and what they want to do. We've spent a lot of time in terms of with our frontline people, given the opportunity to come and learn about us. And we're involved in all of the diversity groups we can. So I'm a key member of making sure that we go and speak to these groups and understanding what the requirements are and challenges are. So I think we very much have a program where, the right person, doesn't matter what background they come from, where they are, is the right person for the job, but also understanding that we can be flexible to make sure we give the people the right opportunity and be flexible to flex what opportunities we have to that group of people, rather than it be a one size fits all. I honestly believe that WFM should be it should be the career of preference in the call center for some individuals. I think a lot of people fall into the profession rather than choose it as a profession. And what we're trying to do is make it the preferred choice for people to come and have a look at, because the traditional team manager contacts you for a leader role. You're one of many trying to do that. In a WFM organization, you can be one of few because of our team structure and the visibility, but you can also learn a hell of a lot, and not just about WFM, but about the business and how it works, commercials, etc. So we do a lot. We spend a lot of time on it, and it's all about the individuality of that person, not the mass. So we have a great training schedule, and like I said, things like this help with us because we get to include the outside experiences of other people, the sharing of the knowledge, sharing of the insights, like you said, and then other people in my team. I'm proactively encouraging them to look at these kind of forums and just learn and bring them back in. So we'll continue to evolve that as well.
Absolutely, that is a great insights and experience sharing, Gary. Our last question: that what do you have a message for WFM folks around the world? What is it they should do to accelerate their career, and how they can really be relevant, stay relevant for the current and also for future? Maybe if you could share that, how you've done differently to grow your career and accelerate your career, and how they should really do. Maybe a great learnings from your examples would help them.
Yeah, I think being curious is probably the best way I would describe it. So understand, no matter what role you do within the WFM team, the overall process, the overall making up of the plan, what we're trying to deliver. I think it's very easy if you fall into a scheduling role to say, right, I'm scheduling against this number, but why? What's the number mean? Why is it being developed in that way? What are the reasons for it? And be the people that are curious and understand. I think, if you really want to build a career in WFM, the building blocks aren't that difficult to learn. True. Right? How you pull that together is a bit more complicated, but actually, once you know the building blocks, you can start building your own plans. You can start understanding and learning. You can start challenging your colleagues with a healthy tension about, actually, I'm seeing this. And, I think there's nothing more important than being curious and wanting to understand something and wanting to learn. And I think that as we evolve and as we keep on changing as an organization, if you're the person that wants to learn and wants to be curious about it, you will excel, because the opportunities through the evolution over the next 2 years people will thrive on that, because they'll be the people that are stood at the front of the queue going, let me go and understand what that looks like. Let me be the guinea pig for this new piece of technology or this new way of working. And I think I've always been that person that's eager to understand and eager to learn and being curious about what I do. And I think it's really important. And there's no point waiting for someone to give it you on a plate, right? We've all had great leaders, we've all had bad leaders, but we've all had great leaders that have helped our progression. But a lot of that is also our responsibility. A lot of that is down to us to be the person that wants to be successful and wants to learn. So I just think, keep pushing yourself, push your boundaries, push your comfort zones, and be curious about what you do.
That has been a wonderful, wisdom for WFM folks. And I'm sure that, your conversation and your insights and experience sharing has been a great takeaways for the WFM folks, Gary. It's really been great having you with us. And I really learned a lot from myself. And I'm sure that, the rest of the WFM folks around the world would definitely be able to learn a lot from your insights. Thank you so much for taking your time out, and looking forward to connecting with you again. And let's really make this WFM community and WFM industry grow and add value to the business, add value to the customers, and we can definitely make great careers, great opportunities waiting ahead of us. I'm sure that like we play fully to the extent and get success.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant. Thank you very much for having me.